Genesis. So we just, as I mentioned this week, just started our ninth year in operation. Um, I kind of fell backwards into this. I have no golf industry background whatsoever, and I'm basically one of the only people at Golf Genius, uh, kind of in the executive team who has that moniker. Most everyone's either like, a PGA former pro or, some other, fancy background, IBM or something. So anyway, um, I'll give some of the local background as well too. So I graduated from Notre Dame in 2014, and I was like heavily involved in the football program, and I thought football was going to be everything to me. And I started coaching high school and teaching right after college. I was like, I don't want to go the business route. I think this is like great. So I coached in South Bend for 2 years, and then I ended up coaching in college for a few years. I got some great opportunities. I coached at the University of Buffalo. I coached at Princeton for a season. And then I got to a point that I was like, I don't want this career actually long term. Recruiting being kind of the number one thing, at least at the college level. I could see what it was doing to like the 40 and 50-year olds who were at later stages of adulthood. And I'm like, boy, the whole job, I mean, the sport is obviously amazing, but I was like, this whole job is how well you can be a salesperson to 17-year-old kids. I mean, that's predicting your future. That's the whole name of the game. And this was like the height of like Harbaugh had just gotten to Michigan and was traveling around the country doing these camps and all. Again, this was even before NIL. Like it was just social media was exploding, and you had to follow these kids and message. I was like, don't want to be 50 years old worrying about that. So anyway, enjoyed it. I finished. I was a grad assistant at Buffalo. I finished there. I was like, all right, I'm done. So now that I didn't have coaching consuming my life 24/7, which again I loved, but I had no hobbies. So I'm like 25 years old. I'm out trying to start a life now outside of football, which was weird because it was hard getting a job coming out of that. Like most businesses are like, yeah, that sounds great, but like, what are you going to do for us, right? So I got a an off the field role with the Ravens, which kind of brought me to Baltimore, helping just organize some of their. There was a guy I'd crossed paths with who was like, yeah, this agent like does all their off the field like charity fundraisers, golf outings is where we're going. Um, so they're like, yeah, like you can help organize, they'll do like bowling events, dinners. They have a charity softball game. They had some golf outings. So I started doing so I helped organize a golf outing. And from there, I realized I was like, I want to try to play this sport. Like this, and now I have some time after work. Like I want to try doing this. And then just in working with that one head pro, I kind of like saw a kin. I was like being a head golf professional. It's actually very similar to what I've been just doing as a football coach. Like you're up there first thing in the morning, you're there till close, you're working like around the clock. There's so many things you want to do. It's just like a very involved blue collar type job. Um, And I was someone who was like, hey, I'm trying to find groups to play with. I'm trying to find a league or something that I can, uh, participate in that looks a lot like the Chicago 16-inch softball leagues or looks like the city rec sports. Like that's what I was looking for. That's what I was familiar with, like these campus rec groups. And again, kind of quickly realized I'm like, well, he's in this position where you're running a golf, facility. You can have your own house leagues, but it's really hard unless there's someone physically in a community organizing it. It's probably not going to exist what you're looking for, just flat out. Like there's going to be men's associations, there might be this, there might be, you know. So I just had started off with being like, I'm going to open source my own group, and I'm going to try to create it like a softball league where let's just make it a short run season, and if people want to keep playing, we'll just do it again, but have the same team each week. So it's, basically whatever I could do to make it as frictionless as possible. Like you don't have to have a handicap. We'll just let's get everybody who's normally trying to get out there after work anyway and put some structure around it. That was kind of the idea of just like I wanted just to find some cadence of playing regularly with people. Um, and so, and the beauty of the thing I fell in love with golf with was that I was like, gosh, you can do this with people of, I'm playing one night with a mom and her son. I'm playing another night with senior citizens. Like I'm playing with friends my age. I'm like, this is what a great equalizer sport this is. That to me right away, I was like, I'm hooked. Um, and I was like, you can create a community like this. Like if you create a league system, like it casts a wide net. There's lots of people in the middle of this bell curve who are just like, I want to get out regularly and play. I know who I want to play with, or if I don't know who I want to play with, I'm cool with playing with, people that maybe don't look exactly like me because golf is golf makes that possible. You can't do that with like every other sport. Um, so, so start off as a local league. That's the extra I'm giving you. Now where your question starts, because how did this start? So the first season it was fun. I realized I was like, why don't I make a website so everybody can register and we can like get our information on there? So I needed to create something that was just like basic. And the next step of it was also I realized I was like, hey, if I'm going out first, I got to stick around late to get all the scorecards. I was like, this website can actually let's just everyone upload your photos to this website. Again, very grassroots. Like, take a picture of your scorecard afterwards. I'll tally it all up again, just independently. Um, the idea came to me of trying to actually like do something more than just that group when I started missing a week or two here and there and realizing that I'm like, hey, this thing goes without me being there. And like, what a great thing that like there's people out there playing and having fun right now. I'm not even there. And so that's when it kind of dawned on me. And again, I was at a spot in my career where I was already kind of searching for what was next. So I said, I'm just gonna see if I can duplicate this at a bunch of places and how like just do that and see if it catches on. So then like the next summer in 2017, um, I just started calling places that I thought were like a good fit that were like, okay, what are golf courses that are similar? Your average everyday daily fee, good community courses that people like to play at a lot. Um, and long story short, it worked really well. Um, I was like, let's go. Started calling courses across the country, hiring uh, what I like to call coaching refugees, guys who I used to work with in coaching who also left. Um, they're all still with me today, which is kind of the coolest part about where we're at now. Um, our entire staff is basically people who had maybe crossed paths with at some point or another. But yeah, it's people who just have an interest in golf, love golf, and are the recreational golfer. So like I've always understood this because that's like I am, I think a typical person who was looking for this. So that's how it started. Of just being like, let's, again, create a community, called it Twilight Golf Association because I wanted it to be just easily understood. I wanted to feel like it was an association. I joined it as a USGA Type 2 club, did all the certification stuff, got handicapping, like all that kind of stuff figured out so we could distribute handicaps, which we don't do anymore. I'll get into that if you want to know more about that. But anyway, um, and so yeah, then my website didn't become enough anymore. Couldn't handle it. I needed a solution to manage everything. Became a customer of Golf Genius. Um, Literally just met in a coffee shop with one of those, the regional sales reps. And I was like, I just need something. I'm like, I'm not a golf course. I'm not really a typical customer of yours, but I could really use the service. So he was like, yeah, sure. All right. I'll just write you a basic plan that sounds like a men's club or something. Um, and then fast forward, the year after 2021, I just got a call out of the blue from the CEO of Golf Genius just being like, hey, is this the contact for like this account? And I was like, yeah. And you're just like, what the hell is this? Like, what are you guys doing? Uh, we had become the largest customer there. So we didn't even know it. So he's like, yeah, you guys are at that time. So I think we had crossed 100,000 rounds and you had mentioned 25,000. We're doing closer to 250,000 currently, but that's like nationally. Locally, I would say 25,000 might be close because the Chicagoland area for sure is one of our really strong. league scenes. Just it's great, one of the best golf scenes I think in the country personally. But anyway, so yeah, and he called me up one day. We met in person once. A couple months later, he was just like, "Why don't you guys just come under our umbrella? Because you're actually solving something that we don't right now, and it is important, which is public golf and generating rounds and creating, opportunities for people to play that otherwise aren't there unless someone's organizing it." So, and Golf Genius, for the most part, I'm not sure how your level of knowledge of the company as a whole. Um, they are the software behind the GIN app and the World Handicapping System, USGA. It's like white label, but that's like one part of it. The other part of it is the tournament management that is mostly used by like upper end, higher like private clubs or really well running public facilities. Not so much the municipal daily fee facilities, which is where I was like, that's where we do all our business. Like you're kind of uh, your township courses. So anyway, so that was kind of the origin of that, and so we were fully kind of brought on. Like I said, our entire staff that we had at the time came on. So now we're this is our fifth year with Golf Genius, and it's been a heck of a ride. It's not easy, but we were trying to again create as many playing opportunities, and what's gotten harder in recent years is really just growing awareness about like what we're doing. And I wouldn't say Chicagoland area is really strong for us, but anytime we're trying to like start new leagues in new places, or that's kind of the mission statement I'd say now is anywhere where there's a public golf scene, a person should be able to find like a easy to access group to join. That's how I feel. That's just like I feel like we give people an onboarding ramp to play more golf and get out and have a really structured experience. And so the challenge is it's like, gosh, we went from being this like fun, grassroots club to now we got to be a full blown marketing agency, which is a real challenge in today's. It's just cluttered. It's expensive. And I'm like, we can't charge a lot of money because it's against our whole thing. So like, just to add a little extra flavor on where we're at now, I mean, we're still going at it, obviously, and trying to grow, but it is getting increasingly challenging every year because it's like, even though the sport's getting more and more popular, it's just getting harder and harder to even just be known, without having some like major budget. That so anyway, that's just where we're at. But I love what we do. Um, every league is pretty much the exact same in terms of that's how we were able to answer your question also, like how did you get here? Everything we do is highly, highly structured and templated. So it's like we don't curate place to place or course to course. It's like every course, every league runs the same program, runs the same type of format, season to season. We do change policies year to year, or like, we switch up the format. So I never want people like feeling like, oh, Twilight is just this, they'll get married to being like they're just a two best ball format or whatever. We do change those things up. But our actual operation, whether someone calls in or emails in from, a small town in Pennsylvania or they call in from LA, we know like exactly how to answer them because it's the same everywhere. So we don't change on that. So that's how we've been able to really deliver both a really quality experience, I think, for all of our golfers, but also it's just that's how we can handle it because we have a pretty small team, I think, relative to our membership. I mean, it's almost there's 1,000 golfers to one of our full-time employees. That's our ratio. So it sounds crazy. You wouldn't think that would work, but in today's day and age, somehow it's working. At least from a management standpoint, but being able to handle that many people, So, but yeah, that's what we do. And yeah, I'd say it's just it's an odd thing for me still because I feel like I'm still riding this wave of you know not, just still learning how to play golf well myself. like but but yeah, it's been fun.
So you mentioned in, I think, 2017, you started to call golf courses. When you called those courses, what did you say to them? What did you offer them? Or did you just say, I want to bring people out there?
Yeah, when it was me playing it was a little different than like what it is now. But at the time, yeah, it was simply like I'd like to form a league. Do you at that time it was definitely a lull in terms of weeknights being pretty open on tee sheets. So there was a lot of, yes, please, if you think you can get 20 people, 30 people here, like we'll block off Tuesday nights for you. And it's and in some ways it still looks the same. So like I'll talk to a head pro. You're the head pro. I'd say, Walter, what nights of the week do you have that are, maybe most open on your t-shirt? Like, do you have any nights that don't have already leagues or anything existing? And they look and they'll say, yeah, Wednesday nights are actually pretty wide open for us. We don't have any high schools. We don't have anything like that's kind of our open night right now. Okay, I would like to, did I reserve six times? I'd like to, um, go out and try and get a group for that. And just hold, if you can hold six times for me, I'll get back to you maybe 2 weeks before. Let's call it April 30th or whenever the start date is. Okay, Nick, sounds good. That's maybe January. So now, and this is like a typical cycle for us still today. Now, from January till April 30th, it's our job to find people to, join the group. Um, and so once we get everyone registered or if I can figure out who it is, I would go through a pretty like sit down and put together the puzzle, as I say it. Like, okay, here's 24 people. All these people, here's a group of people that requested to be with each other. Okay, let's make teams out of these people. Oh, and here's a bunch that don't know each other. All right, let's pair them together based on, okay, they're similar ages, or this guy gets off of work at 5:30, he said, and this other guy says he needs a later time too. So let's put them together. So that's kind of the art of it, of like you're putting together a T sheet that both is taking into account everybody's little requests that they write in when they sign up. Going back to again, how do you scale and how does this really operate? That T sheet does not generally change throughout the entire season. I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, right now there's a lot of, play when you can, no commitment, like show up, like da 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 da. Da. We're actually the antithesis of that. This is like, hey, no, you want 5:30 on Tuesday nights at George Dunn? Like, you got it. Every night, you don't have to book it, you don't have to call, you just register. It's $49 to pay for the season. That's your spot. And so it's like to me, that's the biggest value add to the golfers who are like who come back year after year. They're like, this is great. I just register, I show up, I pay at the counter, I get to play every week. Don't have to think about when my time is or if it works for me or not. I'd say like we generally 98% of the time, we very rarely someone's like, hey, you gave me a tee time I can't make, I gotta quit. I mean, it happens one in 1,000 people, literally. Or they'll change something about their schedule. Like, fine, a little early. I'll duck out of work early on Tuesdays. So we create that tee sheet. I deliver to the golf course, and I say again, just as if I'm calling that golf course that I don't live in that township, and they're aware. Obviously, I'd be like, look, I'm going to manage. I'm going to organize it. I'm going to be that point person that normally would be there, kind of probably chatting your ear off in the pro shop, but I won't even be doing that because I'm just going to be here. I'll send you the names. I'll send you the times. I'm going to take RSVPs each week. I'll let you know if someone's not going to be there, so you can open up your T sheet, and and then they're off. And then we'd send them the list. Golfers would go play. They'd post their scores, and very cut and dry. Golf courses love it because they're like, it just feels like a bunch of people are showing up and paying as if they had a normal tee time. It doesn't really feel like we're not managing anything. Twilight and Nick are doing all of the back end work and handling questions and dealing with all the people. Those golfers just show up and pay at the counter and they're on their way. So my staff, I don't need to be there for them. There's no hand holding. Occasionally we'll get an older guy who doesn't read his emails who's like bugging the starter about something. He's like, I don't know about your format. But besides that, like for the most part, it works great. So that's kind of the operation. So yeah, when we call a golf course, it's really no different to me. And that's what struck me, I guess, early on too, is I was like, gosh, like, yeah, if you're running a adult soccer league, you can just book a field and you pay a couple $100 a night and it just works like that. Golf, there's more friction for whatever reason, because it's a hospitality sport and it's like, times but it's that same idea of like, you're just trying to reserve the night, a block of times. And it's that same mentality. I'd say our entire business is based on the $49 registration. That membership is like that's what the business is from a you know our standpoint of how we operate. The golf courses get 100% of their greens fees. I never say like, can you give us a break? Can you give us a deal? One, because and I tell all our guys that too. It's like we want them to promote this too. Like it has to be 100% a win for the golf course. If they start being like, I'm giving you guys breaks and this and that, like sometimes they charge more, which I think is BS, but that's very few places do that because they'll be like, well, we're giving you an advanced tee time. But anyway, I'm like, players want to just pay what they would normally pay at the counter. So, so yeah, that's why the courses love it. They don't have to do any work. They're just collecting the greens fees exactly as they would be if it was a full tee sheet. And again, we're highly because we're remote and because it's a full-time job and not a hobby, we can be highly communicative and highly detailed. So like we're not missing, hey, you have openings on your tee sheet, we can tell you. So that way we're not like covering spots that otherwise you could have sold. So but that $49 also gets us, I think, a really good committed golfer. It's not like a flaily person who's going to show up once and bail necessarily. It's someone who's like, yeah, I want to be there for 8 weeks, like hold my spot. I'm going to be there as much as I can versus someone who's like, I want to maybe try this. I'll go out once, I'm really busy. Like we're really just getting people who are pretty regular golfers who want to play regularly. So it's a good audience to work with from that standpoint. So when they say like, what's the guarantee? How do I know if people are going to show up or not? We can say with confidence, like everyone who's here they paid to be here. So they're, you know, most likely they're going to show up week to week because, it wasn't like a free, hey, I saw this thing. I want to pop out and check it out and then, never see you again. So, but yeah, that's just a little more about how it all works.
So I want to finish up. I have two more questions for you. So one thing I've been curious about with league golf, and you're the guy to talk to about this. How much of the experience for your players is driven by competition rankings or just overall bragging rights?
I, so I always think about this in terms of like, I think I mentioned this earlier in the call. The bell curve of golfers is like what I refer to as like, okay, I think what we're doing is aiming to hit the middle of where maybe most people are, which is they care mostly about playing golf and having the structure and having I have the time and place with the people I want to play with every week, whether it's your own foursome you bring, which is most common, playing with your own friends and family, or hey, I have to meet up with some people now. I have a group to play with every week. Um, we heavily de-emphasize the competitive side of it, or in terms of we don't de-emphasize it. We just really don't, push that it's all about winning. However, every season has point standings. Every season has majors. So I think you get that experience. It's all for points and it's all for fun. But we don't have within each league payouts or skins pools or like prizes, things like that. Again, part of me going back to just what's going to capture most people. To me, not having it I think brings in more people to play than having it. So I think that'd be a barrier for a lot of folks to be like, that's how I felt too. I'm like, I'm somebody who's kind of a recreational beginner golfer. If this league had, $20 a week you got to throw into a skin spot, I'm like, I'm going to lose this every time. I'm not going to join this league. That's not what I'm looking for. I would say the top part of I would say the top portion of our members care a lot about it. And they want to win. And we do have a prize pool that we do at the end of the year, which I can explain how that works. But you have to win your league to get into that drawing where we give away like some really awesome prizes, including some golf trips and some drivers and iron sets and crap like that. But the idea of it is also like, yeah, the idea of it is play golf the way it's meant to be played with integrity within your group because you're also playing a team of four, so you're not seeing your competing team necessarily. We do have a few two-person team leagues that are really good, some of them. But anyway, for the most part, um, it is it's the same idea as a softball league. So I'm like, people play all these other rec sports with no expectation of prizes. Golf is the one industry, like it's the one sport that it's just tied to it. It's so much part of the culture. And I'd say we're like not about it. Where it's like play for the fun of playing and winning. And I think we obviously we get lots of people that can play for that and have fun for it. There's definitely people who are like, I wanted to win something, and it's like, great. You can find groups for that. It's just not going to be this one, but there are competitive venues. You get a handicap, go find those ones. This is more again And you get that experience too. Let me show you what this looks like. This will be good to see. We just had a league last night that I was actually just looking at. I'll show you what the competition looks like from the player standpoint. All right, so you just signed up for. I sent a request to share my screen. All right. So you're down in. This is down in Florida. You're in this spring league on Thursday nights. This is kind of your league website, your homepage. You can see your schedule, check your tee sheet, your results, individual leaderboard. You can see all the different players, what team they represent. We give everyone a team name. Sometimes they request them, and they'll have it, And then this is our format this year. It's called 3-2-1 best ball. What it does is it takes the best 3 out of 4 scores on par threes. On par fours, it's 2 out of 4. And on par fives, it's your best one score as a team. And then you get points based on, if it's a birdie, you get 3. If it's pars, you get 2. You get 1 for bogeys and worse. So anyway, so it all kind of adds up. So you get this kind of leaderboard experience. This all tallies up throughout the season. But yeah, so like this is a very common, typical league here. Um, in terms of their league page, they get, some analytics. They can see, okay, here's all the various my stats throughout the year. Who's how many birdies because they only played one round last night, but who has the most pars this season? Who's all these kind of things here. Um, course analytics, you can see, which holes are playing the hardest, those sort of things. Some individual standings. Um, we have our information packet, which is how we communicate to everyone. The format, got videos in it. Like, hey, here's how it works. Obviously, just post your scores, and all the scoring will kind of happen through the app. But here's how it's being scored. So this is kind of the final product of what it looks like being in a group.
Nice. That's excellent. So I guess last question then, Nick, you might have alluded to this a little bit earlier, but what's your biggest challenge right now and how are you addressing that?
Um, yeah, as I mentioned at the top, that bringing people to the party is kind of it's like we have everything in terms of like feel like we have a great staff. I know we have great staff. We have all the tools we need to run as many leagues as we'd want to run. Just really always a matter of how to get people to find out about it and how to get people to join. Um, you know, as we're trying to grow, it's like we're basically becoming like having to become a marketing company instead of just um, you know, uh, an operations company, which is kind of what it was, what it felt like for a while. Like the Chicagoland area, for example, I think there's been leagues since like maybe 2019 or so. And so a lot of them have been going for a long time. And um, they've had a lot of time to like for word of mouth to get out and just people to play year over year and invite people. And it's become like a known thing at courses. And now it's like, there's a lot of areas of the country that we're trying to reach out to that are, whether it's some of the AGAs or like, I was just on a call with Arizona last week and their state association trying to get more courses participating and it's just a matter of like, yeah, how do we get the word out about this? It seems like it would be the easiest thing to do, but it is a challenge. I mean, it's like paid advertising is 10 times as expensive as it was when I started this in terms of just to be seen. Um, and then just the organic grassroots stuff, which actually matters the most to me. It's like, we have to get flyers out to every course. They have to like print them or we print them and mail them to them or, we have to get in their newsletters. So you have to make sure that like Katie, who's in the marketing department, she's in line with the head pro who knows this is going on. And then it gets put in the April newsletter. Like there's just so many layers to add to just getting the word out to fill. That is consuming so much of our day to day. That's like our biggest challenge is just getting players to say yes to playing. And some of it is retaining people. Like we have a lot of folks that just, they'll play once or twice and it's like they had a blast. And but they're just like, I'm not a league golfer, so then you do have to replace those people, who and again, there's plenty of people now that are starting to play for the first time, which is awesome. It's really just a matter of how to find them. I don't know how much you dabble in the digital marketing space at all too, but like it seems like we're getting tracked like so heavily, with everything we do online now. So like in that sense, it's actually we find it's like, yeah, it's okay. We could target golfers. Like that's no problem on Google or Facebook and things like that. The challenge is the locality, like getting people who are in a very close radius to a golf course is to be like, oh, I saw this, but I don't live near that one, or this one. Like that is what's really kind of buggy now. Um, and hard to really. So you have to like blanket. For that reason, it gets really expensive because you have to blanket an entire. You can't just be like, hey, show us to people who live in a 10-mile radius of, the golf club of Illinois and Algonquin. Like, that's we just want people that are local in that town to see it. It's like you're going to have to run a bigger, deeper ad to, people in a lot of areas. So, um, yeah, marketing for sure is our challenge. So what I'm trying to do, and I think it's part of why I reached out to you as well. I'm trying to make more of an effort to, you know, try to do more organic things and try to find ways to for us to be discovered, um, through like non-traditional channels, whether it be just like, articles or contributing like to a blog or to something. Like I'm just like, we need to, those are the things I think that also have a real like trust factor when somebody gets referred or they see it through something like that versus just like, oh, it was a Google click. But yeah, that is our everything stops and starts with that, finding golfers.